Hello, everybody is upscale with Jonelle, and today we are talking about the movie Love is Skin You're In. We have Kimberly Ogletree, we have Sayuda, did I say it right?
Yes.
Sayuda Johnson McNeil, Esquire. That means she's smart. And Marcus Mitchell. Hey, how's everybody doing this Friday evening? Like, did anybody have traffic getting here?
Of course not.
No, none at
Oh
all.
yeah, it was difficult getting from the living room to the office.
I mean, some days it'd be like that. So tell me, you guys, why was this the film? We're gonna start with Kimberly. What was it that made you say, I want to be a part of this project and I want to make sure that this is one of the best projects that I've ever worked on?
Well, you're absolutely right. It is one of the best projects I've ever worked on, and I truly was was brought to this film indirectly. But
Okay.
when I read the script, it was so full of self-love and appreciation for relationships, not just your parents, but your friends as well. It's all about self-love, embracing each other, understanding that we're all flawed, okay? And that we all have work to do inside of our own space, but only when we're ready to accept the time to do it.
That,
Because a lot of us do not have the time to do the work, right? We know we have issues. Like I do it all the time. It's like, okay, I need to make an adjustment. I really need to make an adjustment. Okay, I'm going to make that adjustment the next time it happens, right? And I remember that. And this film really resonated with that, with the father-daughter relationship, with the best friend relationship, with the friend of years ago, such as Marcus, who played Dennis, their relationship from years ago. You know, there's a lot of tension, a lot of growth that happened inside of the film. And that's really what drew me to it when I read it at first.
okay, okay. Marcus, we're going clockwise.
Okay. Yeah.
So
So,
tell me about your character and what you absolutely saw in this character that made you think of yourself or somebody else.
yeah. So I play the character of Dennis. Some people might look at the character of Dennis as an antagonist. He shows back up in Sasha's life at a time where she's having some difficulties with the legacy that was left from her grandmother and her mother. And my character, Dennis, I want to tear the Women's Empowerment Center down and build a private school. And so she's focused on saving the center. I'm focused on, tearing down the center and, yeah, building a private school that's going to, I believe, bring some money, some economic stimulus into the community. And so, the thing about the character of Dennis, you might want to look at him like he's this antagonist, he's this bad guy, but he really just has a different point of view, a different perspective on how best to serve the community. And
Right.
so that was something that really resonated with me in reading the script, along with the themes of community and family and legacy, intergenerational dynamics, and that sort of thing. But I think this was intentional by the writer. Maybe we'll have an opportunity to ask the writer if this was intentional. She didn't
Right.
write the character of Dennis, the character I played, as this one-dimensional character. She didn't just dog the brothers who are in this movie. She made
Okay.
him, a fully fleshed out character. And if you look at things from his perspective, you see he didn't, have these negative, bad intentions for the community. He really was trying to help, but from his perspective. And so I thought that that was really interesting that it handled it in that way.
Right. And I was gonna ask you, was Dennis thinking about legacy? And then you said legacy because sometimes you look about upgrading and elevating, and then sometimes when we're creatures of habit, we want things to stay the same and just move because it's something that's precious to us. And once it's gone or rebuilt, it's like, what do we have? So you're looking at legacy from this way, she's looking at legacy from this way.
Exactly. And the character of Dennis, he said something that was really telling to me in talking about his father. He was the first black person to own property. And in this thing, he made this agreement with Sasha's grandmother and mother for the center. But then he says, he owned all this property, but he never was able to really capitalize on it. He never was able to really make any money from it. So
Yeah.
from Dennis's perspective, he's taking his father's legacy and he's thinking that he's building upon it, that
Right.
he's improving it. But like you're saying, it's just a difference of perspective.
Right. Right. So I like that there was conflict, as there has to be, and then there is resolution.
Uh-huh.
So, Saida, now let's hear from your standpoint why this film was so amazing and like what was the takeaway? And maybe you look like a person that can see things from two different angles. I don't know. So you want to tell me what you thought?
So, am I allowed to say I think it was amazing because I wrote it? No, just
I mean,
kidding.
you are. Look, obvious, that's obvious, okay? Because
So,
you know you're not gonna write anything that's not amazing and put all these wonderful actors in this ensemble cast. Like this cast, I'm hoping I see you guys at the Image Awards all strutting up there, or at least on the nominee board, because I'm voting. Okay? Yes. The ensemble cast was everything for me. So let's go ahead. Yeah, let's hear about the writer and what she had in mind for Dennis. And you didn't want to make him Dennis the Menace, so we appreciate you for that, or Dennis the villain. So we appreciate you for that because that's what we don't need, when we're looking at something like this, because you'll be surprised at the amount of people like me that take movies to heart, and then you be changing your whole life like, that's why he wanted to do that. Now you're mad at somebody because the movie you watched, like even Dennis knew that it was. I'm
no,
telling you, I'm telling you.
I think that's a powerful statement. I'll definitely get into why I thought it was amazing in different angles, but I think what you said is really the reason why I made the movie is because I don't think people realize how much film and media impacts us, influences us, right? It
Yes,
may seem like, oh, that's just another movie, but a lot of times we leave a film and we've resonated so much that we may actually go out and either change something in our lives or we're just thinking about that. And you just hear all the time about the stereotypes in terms of particularly people of color, African American people, with these movies, how it subconsciously starts shifting people's perspective about us. So they
that's why
think
we
they
go
know
to the
who we
movies.
are based on the movie. And we're not a monolith, right? So when I wrote Dennis's character, I thought about that. I said, okay, I want this antagonist, but I also want to be very careful about how we depict our black men because I love our brothers, right?
Right.
Marcus Mitchell is a family friend of mine. So just like Dennis, we've known each other since probably before we were born. We went to USC together, studied acting together. And it was important to me that one, I include this character who was very much had this kind of two-sided perspective and that the person that is a family friend, I would never ask him to play a role that basically depicts him as this like evil black man, right? So
Right.
to answer your question, I thought it was an amazing project and particularly for Marcus to play Dennis because I know that he comes from community and that he cares about the community, he does community service and he uplifts the community. And I thought that when you look at the angles, you can truly see both sides. I can say no. When if you use the term gentrification and you actually look at the definition, it's about improving the neighborhood. Now, of course, we've started attaching race to gentrification. I'm not going to get into that conversation. But what happens when a black person attempts to gentrify a neighborhood? Now you start looking at socioeconomic status, not race.
Yes.
And that's what I wanted people to see that we are not a monolith, that we are a very much well rounded people, and that we have different perspectives. We don't think alike. And so for Dennis's character, he wanted to see a change in the community. He wanted to see the neighborhood look different. Yes, it's okay to have the grocery store that's really fancy on the corner, right? That a black person owns, or this private school for black people teaching us about our history. But then you have Sasha, who's like, look, we've been in the community for 50 years. We're helping these women. They're unhoused. Maybe the place doesn't look great. It's not pretty. But you know what? Don't come in here trying to make money at the expense of sacrificing these women. That's your two angles. That's what I was thinking when I wrote it. And that's important to me in anything that I write, is to really show who we are as a people, and that we don't all have the same perspective, but we could still be going for the greater good.
Now, ask me how I knew that she seemed like a person that could look at things from both ways and kind of see. I seen her for 3 minutes for the first time in my life, but I do not know why that was the energy she gave me when she logged in. I don't know how, I don't know why. And no, I'm not psychic. Miss Cleo is gone, unfortunately. So let me ask you this. Did you choose to cast Kareem Grimes specifically because of how he's portrayed as in the Community Man?
So, if I can be 100% transparent, as a new filmmaker, I chose a lot of the people based on relationships and who also were great actors. So it
Okay,
was a both and for me. In
okay,
terms of who I cast in the role, it was started with who I knew that were excellent actors.
okay,
That was how I started. And then from there, who did I think would fit that role?
okay.
So when I thought about Marcus, I know Marcus, he's a friend. I'm like, oh, I think Dennis. When I thought about Kareem, who I also know, I'm like, okay, he's going to bring that character. And when we analyze who he was a black man who was supporting her, who
Okay.
protect black women,
Yes.
keep your head up, you need to meditate. So while some people may not see that little nuance that I put in there, he
Mhm.
was that lightheartedness that she needed every single time she was going to the office.
Yeah.
She was sad, she was depressed, and it's like, oh, here he goes again. And he's like, keep your head up, sister. And that's who Kareem Grimes is, right?
It
He's always having
is.
to
It
train
is.
me to try to keep me in shape. And he always was like, you can do this. You got this, Sai. So to answer your question, it was a both and. It was about who I knew that were excellent actors, because I will never compromise quality of acting just
Oh
because
yeah.
I know someone.
Right.
And then on top of that, where did I think this excellent actor that I know would be appropriate? And then the third part was just convincing Kimberly Ogletree to allow me to do it as producer.
Kimberly, was you at the least resistant, or you was like, I don't know.
No,
Yes,
I
you're
didn't have a
right.
problem. Look, we are all individuals and we all have people that we want to put on when we do
Yes.
things. It's Sasha's time, okay? And it's Sauda's time. And she knew Marcus and she knew Kareem. And when she mentioned both of the names, I didn't have an issue with it, at all. Because
Right.
these were two people she was behind 100% and said, these two people are in the movie. It's all this she's talking right now. Granted, I say, okay, no,
Yes.
these were her choices that she specifically designated for these roles. So even when we hired Leah Daniels Butler to be the casting director, these roles were not even on the breakdown
Wow.
because she had already made up in her mind that these two people were going to be the people to play these roles.
I
So,
love it. I
yeah.
love it. And when you do that and you're the storyteller, it comes out better to me for some reason, because in the cast sticks together. Like it's nothing like that ensemble cast that has the chemistry to work together and the personalities and the attitude. And I known Kareem when he first started acting, but have you met Mama Kareem? Kareem's mom, like she is like Miss Community, but she does not take no junk. So I'm like, okay, that's how Kareem got to be Kareem. And she does not, she is unapologetically her. Okay. So I love it.
Well,
And
I'll tell you, I had one moment with casting
okay.
when I told Saud, well, I had an event and I had Marla Gibbs in the as one of my speakers. And she said, I'm ready. I'm ready to go back to work. No, not even ready to go back to work. I'm available for work.
Oh,
Right. So I took that to heart because I'd seen her on Grey's Anatomy and various other shows that she's done, right? And when you
yeah.
look at her age of 94, I can only look at one other woman, Cicely Tyson, that was still doing it at that age.
Right.
Okay. So when there is a moment in time when you can actually write a role into a script, because that role was not in the script. I
Right.
said we need to bring legacy into this movie. And
Yes.
we need to bring in Marla Gibbs, the icon, to
Yes.
play that role. So I was like, what? Marla Gibbs? And we went and Leah contacted her agent and we got Marla Gibbs. And so it went to work. Okay. I think Marla was cast before you even written the actual dialogue and the whole piece for
Put
her.
the cherry on top of
And
the
talk about
icing.
legacy. We got to name it after Kimberly's grandmother.
Yes, Brookie is my grandmother, right? And I said her name has got
Ah,
to be Brookie because she's a whippersnapper.
see, I
And
love
people
that.
don't
Or
know
she
this, but only
was.
if you
God
heard
bless
your
her.
name. But throughout the movie, I did little Easter eggs. So throughout the
Right.
movie, everybody's name was like a family friend, a family member, basically honoring everyone. So it was only fitting when Kimberly came up with the idea that I threw her grandmother in the mix and insisted that we use her name as well. She's like, okay, well, then my loves better be deep if you're going to use my
Right.
grandma's name. I said, I got you, Kim.
And I love you said love the skin you're in because unfortunately there are so many people that are not unhappy with the skin they're in because of how it's portrayed on social media. Like everything, as a journalist, I know like I have to be careful what I write and I'm a responsible writer. And I know that I've worked with people on the other end as a PR that read stuff about them and it really just tears them down to the ground. And some people is, oh, I don't read the comments, but it breaks them down to their core. Man, who wouldn't it? Like people will say, I don't care what they say or this, but it does because it speaks on your character. And like you said, we are all flawed in some way. And maybe people don't want to admit it, but it's true. So you don't want to see that, oh, they saw through my thought. How are you an actress, an actor, or an influencer, and people were able to see through your flaws? Like, that's crazy because you thought you were doing a good job of concealing it, and now the media writes something up and they saw right through you, and that's like that can be mind-boggling. It really is. So I appreciated this film for that reason. I'm glad. I love to talk to the producers and the writers and the main characters, especially the ones that's supposed to be the antagonists, because they don't like being that. And then you could have wrote that a whole different way. And then every time we see Dennis at the supermarket, we're like, because we do really get all involved.
Yeah,
And now we
we had
have a negative.
we had the screening last night, and I got so many side eyes and comments, afterwards of, people get to laugh it off, but they had to let me know, I don't like you. I'm looking at you sideways now. So
Right. And
yeah,
you're
that's
like,
definitely
dang,
something
it
that
is a
happens.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but movie is so real. Let me tell you, I went and got my real estate license because of girlfriends. When Tony Child's Realty, I was like, that's it. And I really like that was the reason. Like that was it, not anything in school. So many things you watch and all the time, and then in your mind, as you put it out there, but you put something out there that told people to have the self-worth and to take a look at themselves again and to accept the flaws, accept different opinions, and just accept and love who you are, not because people are praising you for one thing. So I commend you on that topic because a lot of people don't want to stick with that kind of topic because they say, oh no, it's got to be racy or it's got to be a fight scene, like just thinking it has to be some drama when really the drama is within our own bodies. And you brought that out. You did that, girl. And the producer, Kimberly, you helped bring it on in. And Marcus, without you playing that role like you played it, they wouldn't have been side eyeing you. So you did your job. You were supposed to get side eyed.
And I want to say a couple things about other talent is Oba Babatunde played her father, her estranged father. And when he comes into the picture, you
Great guy.
see how unbalanced
Hold
she
on.
becomes. Hmm?
Let me mute the vlogs.
Oh, okay. when Oba Babatunde came into the picture, of course, he was a strange father, like I said, and you see the dynamic between the two. You see that the disconnect is still there. It radiates on the screen, but she is so eager for him to appreciate her that that level of appreciation she hasn't felt in a very, very long time since her mother had passed away. So that character helped her, still at the end of the movie, we still are like, this is real. Okay, they still have some issues that they have to work out, but they love each other. Just like Wendy, Raquel Robinson, who played the role of a therapist, helping her do the work, helping her understand her self-worth, helping her understand that she's a good person.
Right.
And not being able to say no doesn't mean that you're not a good person.
Right.
Having to balance who you are with friends, relatives, parents, whomever, it's so important to you as an individual. And I think that's what people get caught up in.
Yeah.
Like, will they like me if I don't say yes?
Right. The
I don't
court
know.
of public
Is
opinion.
this the moment I can say no? Right? So inside of that medium that she wrote, it was spot on. Spot on. I have so many friends in that space. I see myself in the movie. Okay. Let me look. I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
And like I said, I have caught myself in moments saying, I need to make an adjustment, Kim, that wasn't right. Okay, let me make an adjustment. And so it was the main one. She was like, okay, I need that Kim right now.
Right. Right. I asked my friend Les Brown is a really good friend of mine, and
Oh
I said,
yeah.
how do I say no? Because sometimes
Mhm.
people are dependent upon you and without
Yeah.
being a jerk. And he said, what you do is when they ask you, you say, I would love to. And then he said, and you say, but I'll have to check my calendar because I think that I'm not able to. But he said, just respond positively at first, like, oh, I would love to do that. But sweetheart, on the 10th, I have another engagement. But I was like, oh, it did sound better that way. When you say, because they're all like, and then are like, but they still kind of like, did she just say yes or no? So I tried it out like that week. I was like, I would love to. And they were like, I said, but that's the same day I gotta go take the dogs. And they're like, oh, okay, I got it. And it was like better letdown.
Yes. And I wanted to say and open up the, Marcus, this too, when we talk about love the skin you're in, like I always would love to hear the male perspective of what that means, right? Because like when people hear love the skin you're in, you asked me about those angles, and so it has the angle of the literal, right, skin. And
Right?
so people of course assume we're talking about
Color.
love yourself as a black person,
Right.
and it's about race. But then it also has other connotations in terms of self-acceptance. So I just wanted to, for you, Marcus, playing that role, Dennis, and just kind of like how you thought about it. I would, because I know I heard Miss Janelle talk about love the skin you're in, and I was just curious, like your perspective too.
Yeah, I feel like it has so many different levels to it. Like you just alluded to, the first thought that a person might have is love the skin you're in, the color of the skin you're in. As Black people, our history in this country of being oppressed and mistreated, and the media barrage that kind of conditions us to not like the skin we're in, the literal skin we're in.
Right.
Um, but then the way that this movie deals with it, it operates on another level where the legacy piece, you inherit the skin that you're in from your parents and their parents. And so there's this sense of responsibility to that. However, you have to come to a place where you honor and acknowledge that legacy, but then you also have to forge your own path. So you have to love that figurative skin you're in, who you are, what you represent, what you want to be in this world, the legacy you want to leave behind, in addition to just the genes, the genetic material that you pass on to your children. So it operates on that level as well. With the character of Dennis, as far as that's concerned, he has this legacy from his father which he honors, which he acknowledges, but then he wants to forge his own path. He wants to have his own effect on the community. And so he has to love the skin he's in on that level as well. So it operates on so many different levels in life, and it operates on so many different levels within this movie, which I thought was really beautiful, and I really appreciated that about it. So there's so many different things you can extrapolate to as far as love the skin you're in. She mentioned Black people and the skin that we're in, but all people love the skin you're in. So it's not just about being Black. It's not just about being a woman necessarily, because a woman wrote this, but I can appreciate the piece for what it is and what it represents to me. The
Right.
character of Dennis, he's a man, and he's trying to do what he thinks is the right thing, and it's all within this concept of loving the skin you're in on all these different levels. So, I don't want to just go on and on, but I think it was great.
But do you think that that is a very heavy responsibility for men, especially men of color? Because you had a father in the movie that you knew what his legacy was, and a lot of our Black men today are growing up fatherless, so they don't really have that. So trying to figure out who they are and trying to be accepted by their peers, and then trying to be able to be a provider, like that's a lot of stress on them. So I think that to be honest, I think you guys need to take this panel on a tour, because these conversations are not had anymore in the household. So maybe if you put them out in cafes, just little panels where people are, coffee shops, like coffee talk, that is something that people can come and open up about, and it really would help a lot of people, I think. Even if you did Zooms about it, like I just think it shouldn't stop with the movie
Mhm.
because it's not talked about enough.
Yeah, you said specifically as far as the burden that Black men have in this society, and how it fits into this concept of love the skin you're in. You
Yes.
mentioned how a lot of our Black children are growing up in homes without a father. I was watching some podcast or something just the other day, and the person on the panel of that podcast was making a point that in his experience, most of the time when a father was absent, it usually had to do with the father's feelings of inadequacy.
Right.
I don't have enough money to take care of my family the way that they need to be taken care of. So it's just easier for me not to be involved. I didn't have a father, so I don't really know how to be a father. So it might be better for the children if I'm not involved. And so a lot of times they'll step away for that reason. And so you can see how if they love the skin that they're in, if they loved who they are, if they had that self-love piece, then that could probably go a long way toward us not having as many broken homes or fatherless homes, because they will feel that sense of self-worth and understand that it's not necessarily the money that they could provide, but their presence. It's not the presence, it's their presence that's most important. And so it could keep a lot of families intact. So I definitely agree with what you're saying. This is a conversation that needs to be had, that is not being had often enough. And I think that this movie, Love the Skin You're In, is a great conversation piece to get those discussions started.
And just like Kimberly was saying about the appreciation, sometimes all kids need, adults need, is a little appreciation. It's just the little things. I told somebody today, like I did something, I was on time, 10 minutes early, and I was like, I pat myself on the back, and I was on the phone. I said, yes, I'm going to pat myself on the back because nobody else is around. But I said, I also need that pat on the back. Like, yeah, I did it. Gold star for me. And so that's one of the things we got to learn, to thank ourselves, to buy ourselves a rose and sit it up and be like, this is because you got things done this week. And that's how a part of appreciating who you are, because sometimes we just wait for it. If we don't get the thank you or the compliment from somebody, now we feel like, oh, we feel down. And we may not, because of the spaces you guys are in right now, but there are people out there who absolutely need it. So we just got to take an acknowledgement, I guess, the people around us. And that's why I try to be kind to everybody, because that one hello, that one smile, you just never know.
Well, you just made a really good point, though. You said you may not be because of the spaces that you're in right now. And honestly, I was just talking to Kimberly about that today in terms of the intention of the movie when I wrote it. A lot of times we don't know the space that people are in. So I was very intentional with Sasha, how she dressed, how she presented herself in public. She's this big time photographer.
Right.
And
Broke.
to many people, those who seem the most successful, whether it's financially or having a family or all of these things on the outside that appear to have it all together, a lot of times behind the scenes, we have no idea what they're quietly battling.
Yep.
And that's for everybody, right? Regardless of if you're a famous celebrity or a big time politician or a big time business person. And I'm putting big time in front of everyone's career because I don't think it matters what you do. I think it's about, how good you are at your job. But the point of my story is that's what is the assumption a lot of times when we see people is that they must have it all together. I wish I could be like them.
Right.
But the point of this movie is to show that people can be quietly going through things behind the scenes, and it's okay to get the help. Just like even when I'm willing to freely share now what I was going through in college. My mom told me, she asked one of my best friends yesterday, "Did you know Sauda was going through that in college?" And she was like, "Yeah," but my mom didn't know, right? And so that's what this is about too. It's saying, hey, it's okay if you're doing well financially. It's okay if you're doing well in your career, but behind the scenes you're going through something. It's okay to get the help, and it's no one's business.
True. Oh, so did your mom feel bad because she didn't know and her for your friend knew?
Oh gosh, no, not at all. I mean, we're talking about a 20-something-year-old, right? So
Okay.
back then it's like it was less about her and it was more about me
Okay.
and just my comfort zone in terms of being able to share what I was going through with my mom as opposed to my bestie, who also happened to be my roommate. So it wasn't that I shared with her per se what I was going through,
Okay.
it's that we were roommates. And so it's kind of becomes more difficult to hide something like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense totally. Well, I appreciate everything. I can't believe Avian had him wrap me up because she know I'll be like, and so back in the third grade, what was it like, Marcus? But I love this. I'm so serious about, Marcus, I'm passing the baton to you for the black men before Christmas and Thanksgiving and all these burdens that's going to be up on him as the head of the household to get everybody Christmas gifts, to go get that turkey as the man of the house. And you got to
Go
let
see
them
the
know,
film. To go
okay,
see the film.
to
For love is
go
in
see
your
the
name.
film. And then you will feel okay telling everybody, I ain't got it. Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you guys so much. And thank you for sharing your journey and your talents with everybody. And just thank you guys for the time.
Thank you so much. I would love it if everyone could support us, Ryan Ash LLC on our socials, Instagram
And
and Facebook. Also love the Skin You're in Film. And just know that we're out there and we're doing big things and coming to a theater near you and a television near you very soon. I'm claiming it in his name.
hello. So it's Ron, but that's behind you, ASH. Is it just Ron Ash on Instagram?
LLC, Ryan Ash
LLC.
LLC.
Okay. All right. I got it. Thank you guys. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank
Bye
you.
Hi,
now.
Love the
thank you.
senior and
I'm
thank
headed
you.
to the film festival.
Right?
Yes, tonight. No, seriously. All right.
Hi, thank
See you
you.
guys later.
Okay,
Thank
bye-bye.
you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.